A lot of people do not feel broke because they are irresponsible. They feel broke because more and more things stopped feeling worth the money. Prices went up, quality dropped, subscriptions multiplied, convenience slowly turned into dependency, and somehow all of it became normal. The dangerous part of modern consumerism is not one giant luxury purchase. It is continuing to pay for things you do not even respect anymore. In this video, you will learn how to identify and dismantle the hidden traps inside the worse for more economy. This is an execution blueprint for the American consumer, who works hard but still feels an invisible drain on their paycheck every single month. You will see exactly how modern spending habits are engineered by external systems instead of genuine personal choice. By the 15-minute mark, we will fully break down the subscription trap and the convenience loop that keep your bank account trapped in a state of artificial scarcity. We are going to execute this across 3 distinct phases. First, we will run a forensic audit on 4 specific categories where quality declined while costs increased. Second, we will isolate the psychological triggers that turn temporary relief purchases into permanent monthly bills. Third, we will implement a friction-based framework that systematically removes manipulation from your daily financial transactions. But what most people miss is the subtle difference between fear-based deprivation and strategic systemic control. Stay with me, because understanding that distinction is the difference between feeling financially trapped and becoming almost impossible to manipulate. Let us look at the raw logic of the modern marketplace. Assume you earn a standard American salary and your fixed costs are already locked in. Every dollar left over represents discretionary freedom. That is the capital you use to build a life, create comfort, or save for the future. 20 years ago, buying something usually meant a single transaction. You paid cash or swiped a card, took the item home, and owned it until it finally broke. Today, that relationship has been completely inverted by corporations chasing predictable recurring revenue. Now assume you buy a product today, whether it is software, a home appliance, or an entertainment service. Instead of owning it outright, you are often forced into subscriptions and licensing agreements. At the same time, manufacturing processes have optimized around planned obsolescence. Items are literally designed to fail faster, forcing replacement cycles that happen far more often than they did in your parents' generation. If you pay double the price for an appliance that lasts half as long, your real inflation rate for that item effectively explodes. This is not a conspiracy theory, it is basic corporate optimization. Companies facing pressure to produce quarterly growth usually either improve products at high cost or quietly reduce quality while increasing recurring billing systems. Most major brands chose the second option. They no longer compete primarily on product quality. They compete on how much friction they can temporarily remove from your life. You are not imagining it. You are often receiving less durability, less customer service, and less physical substance for every dollar you spend. When you normalize this reality, your budget does not collapse from one catastrophic decision. It slowly bleeds out through dozens of tiny, low-value extractions modern life trained you to accept as normal. The modern consumer system shifted from a production economy into an extraction economy. In a production economy, companies build wealth by creating products so valuable that people genuinely want them. In an extraction economy, companies build wealth by locating existing habits in your life and installing a digital toll booth directly in front of them. Clothing fabrics are thinner and more synthetic, yet prices rise. Food packaging shrinks through shrinkflation, while boxes remain the same size. Software that once lived permanently on your hard drive now requires constant logins and monthly billing just to maintain access. Many companies no longer compete on quality. They compete on how much inconvenience they can temporarily remove. That creates permanent financial exhaustion for the average household. Transportation, coffee, entertainment, groceries, and digital services all became recurring tolls. The psychology behind this relies heavily on present bias. Human beings naturally overvalue immediate relief and undervalue future consequences. After a long workday, cooking dinner suddenly feels overwhelming. A delivery app removes that friction with one thumb swipe. The system takes advantage of your temporary exhaustion and charges a premium for food that often arrives lukewarm 45 minutes later. You are not paying for exceptional quality. You are paying to avoid a temporary inconvenience. That constant friction reduction creates a dopamine loop. Because buying things became effortless, your brain bypasses the hesitation that once protected your money. You no longer open a wallet, count bills, or physically hand money to another person. The pain of paying disappears completely. Without friction, your spending becomes disconnected from the actual usefulness of what you buy. You slowly normalize paying premium prices for declining quality because your brain mistakes convenience for value. The most damaging purchases are rarely massive luxury decisions planned weeks in advance. They are tiny recurring permission slips signed automatically through habit. Look at the modern delivery app cycle dominating suburban and urban America. You are not just paying for food. You are paying a service fee, delivery fee, compliance fee, inflated menu pricing, and a driver tip. A simple $15 lunch quietly becomes a $30 transaction. Millions of people repeat this process multiple times every week without thinking about it. Then there is fast fashion and endless random online purchases. Low-cost, low-durability items bought during moments of boredom or stress end up forgotten in closets and junk drawers within days while the money disappears permanently. Look at entertainment subscriptions. Many households now carry 4, 5, or 6 streaming services simultaneously. Prices rise constantly. Ads return to premium plans. Content libraries fracture across platforms. People often spend more time scrolling menus than actually watching anything meaningful. You are paying more for a worse entertainment experience than when these services originally launched. The same cycle applies to overpriced snacks and constant smartphone replacement culture. Every year or two, tech companies release another device with tiny upgrades that barely change daily life. The battery improvement is marginal. The camera difference is mostly invisible unless you are a professional photographer. The user experience feels almost identical. Yet consumers commit thousands of dollars to new financing plans for devices they effectively already own. Habit-driven consumption is a major source of middle-class financial anxiety. These purchases survive because they appear small and harmless individually. They slip underneath your financial radar while becoming socially normalized everywhere around you. Modern marketing hijacked the language of wellness and emotional health to sell low-quality consumer products. We now live inside a culture that encourages spending money as a form of emotional recovery. Treat yourself stopped being a joke. It became a philosophy. After a stressful workday or family conflict, the marketplace immediately offers a commercial solution: premium coffee, luxury skincare, expensive spa treatments, impulse purchases disguised as self-care. This creates dangerous confusion between temporary emotional relief and long-term value. A purchase may calm you down for 10 minutes while creating financial pressure for 10 months. When you swipe your card to soothe stress, you are essentially practicing financial self-medication. The dopamine response is real. Choosing an item, checking out, and waiting for delivery creates a temporary physiological lift, but the effect fades quickly. Once the novelty disappears, your emotional baseline returns exactly where it started, except now your account balance is lower, and the real source of stress still exists. Social media algorithms accelerate this process aggressively. Platforms are no longer just communication tools. They are hyper-optimized digital shopping malls tracking emotional vulnerability and attention patterns constantly. Advertisements appear disguised as lifestyle content. You see someone online who looks calm, attractive, organized, and emotionally secure. Your brain subconsciously connects that emotional state to the product in their hand. So you buy the product hoping to buy the emotional identity attached to it. That is identity spending at its highest level. You are no longer purchasing an object for utility. You are purchasing temporary membership into a version of yourself that feels safer, calmer, and more successful. Once emotional regulation becomes connected to spending, your budget becomes completely defenseless. People do not struggle to stop buying because they are mathematically stupid. They struggle because spending evolved into an automated emotional system. The first barrier is the sunk cost fallacy. People keep paying for subscriptions, hobby equipment, and premium services they barely use because canceling feels emotionally painful. Their brain interprets cancellation as admitting failure. Then comes fear of missing out. Retailers use countdown timers, warning text, and fake urgency to trigger scarcity panic. You buy not because you truly need the item, but because losing the opportunity feels psychologically threatening. Over time, isolated purchases evolve into durable habit loops. Every habit loop contains a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue may be stress or emotional exhaustion. The routine becomes browsing shopping apps. The reward becomes novelty and temporary emotional control. Eventually, spending money becomes the default response to emotional transition states. The hardest spending habits to break are the ones attached directly to identity. I work hard, so I deserve this. This premium brand represents who I am. Those are emotional defense mechanisms, protecting comfort zones. Breaking the extraction cycle does not require extreme minimalism. The goal is simpler. Restore friction to automatic spending. We do that using a practical framework called the Not Worth It Audit. Question 1. Would I still buy this if it required physical effort instead of one digital click? Question 2. Does this improve my life after the dopamine fades? Question 3. Would I even notice if this disappeared for 30 days? Many subscriptions survive entirely through inertia. Create intentional blackout periods for non-essential services and observe what actually changes in your life. Question 4. Am I paying for utility or emotional relief? Be honest. Are you buying the jacket because you need protection from weather, or because you want a specific emotional identity attached to it? Question 5. Did this payment become permanent without a conscious decision? Review your bank statements carefully. Any autopay charge that survived purely because you forgot about it automatically fails the audit. This framework interrupts emotional spending patterns and forces analytical thinking back into the process. You stop acting like a passive extraction target and start acting like the gatekeeper of your own capital. Many people reject financial discipline because they confuse intentional spending with cheapness. Cheap people cut value. Smart people cut manipulation. A cheap person buys $40 work boots that fall apart quickly and require constant replacement. A smart person willingly spends more upfront for durable boots that survive years of heavy use. Smart spending means paying aggressively for things that genuinely improve health, safety, and long-term performance, while cutting emotional clutter and manipulative convenience spending down to zero. When you buy fewer but higher quality things, your monthly obligations shrink dramatically. The real cost of junk spending never appears fully on your bank statement. The deeper damage happens to your freedom. Every recurring subscription and habitual convenience payment increases paycheck pressure. Then comes decision fatigue. Too many subscriptions, too many passwords, too many cheap possessions. Your brain burns energy managing junk instead of focusing on decisions that actually shape your future. These invisible costs slowly condition dependence on external systems. You begin believing you cannot function without specific apps, premium products, or constant upgrades. That creates a fragile emotional baseline dependent on uninterrupted consumption. The delivery app lockdown removes hidden fees by forcing physical pickup instead of frictionless delivery. The subscription blackout protocol cancels any subscription not actively used within the last 2 weeks. The 4-8. Our cart quarantine forces every non-essential purchase into a mandatory waiting period before checkout. The device lifespan mandate keeps smartphones in service for at least 48 months before replacement. The identity spending audit compares expensive premium brands against generic alternatives to separate functional utility from emotional storytelling and social status manipulation. Most people do not actually have an income problem. They have a system problem. Financial stress usually comes less from insufficient income and more from living inside a marketplace engineered to remove awareness, friction, and intentionality. If your spending system remains emotional and automated, earning more money simply increases the rate of extraction. Real financial stability comes from becoming harder to manipulate, not just from earning a bigger paycheck. This week, identify one recurring charge or convenience habit to eliminate immediately. This month, remove all saved payment information from your devices. This year, track the total amount of money reclaimed from eliminated spending leaks and redirect that capital toward debt reduction or building an untouchable emergency reserve. What is one thing you kept paying for long after it stopped feeling worth the money, and what was the exact moment you realized it?